Good morning, everybody. I'm John O'Loughlin. Welcome to McDuff Lives. And it's McDuff Lives Friday, which means it's McDuff and Marcia. And
Good
Marcia,
morning.
good morning, Marcia. It's great to have you back on Friday. We've been seeing a lot of each other this week because we're
Yes, we
having a little
have.
work done in the house.
Yeah,
So it's been fun. We have adjusted very well. So yeah, so it's like we've been talking about things like politics and stuff during the week a little bit more than perhaps in the past. So a number of things come to mind, but the first thing is, oh my God, democracy dies on Monday,
exactly. Exactly. The oligarchy takes over.
and I think it was really nice of President Biden to point that out at the end
Exactly.
of his term, because
We needed to know, we needed to understand what an oligarchy is.
That's right. And, an oligarchy, of course, is kind of a big glom of things that are attached to Orange Man.
Right.
And
Right. Oh, nicely put.
yeah, it's like
A big
cancers.
glom of things.
Yeah, like, they attach to Orange Man. And
Barnacles.
wherever he goes, he sheds
Oligarchy.
oligarchy. Yes, that's right. Yeah, no, there's no oligarchs in our country under President Biden. And, if you don't believe that,
No. Wealthy capitalists do not control President Biden. How could that be?
President Biden has taken care of all the oligarchs. There's no oligarchs in Cleveland, Ohio. There's no Kolomoiskis. It's all misinformation.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Well, anyway, democracy dies in darkness, as your paper of choice, the Washington Post,
Don't put
continues
it that
to say.
way. It is our
And-
local newspapers. We live in the Washington area, and so I want to keep up what's going on in the region.
Yeah.
But no. Don't call it my paper of choice.
Well, let's see what other folks have to say. Good morning, Paulie. And Paulie, you're over in Amsterdam, I think, if I'm not mistaken. It may be the other way around. Yeah. Well, yeah, me and Harley, when we did our show this week, we were all optimistic. Can President Trump, be a peacemaker? Will he be the peacemaker? And then lo and behold, the very next day, as we predicted, he makes peace. And then the next day, Netanyahu backs off.
Right.
And
But they have actually approved it now. They approved it this morning.
Well, that's great. And, how long will it last? Well, it'll last a little while, and that'll save some people's lives. And so it's a good thing. And it's fascinating to see Trump, doing his magic behind the scenes. And it just it does sound like there's a lot of arm twisting, if not actual, threats.
Okay, call me naive, but I do have a question about this because one of the things that I don't understand is that the ceasefire gets announced and then it's not going to go into effect until Sunday. So between now and Sunday, let's bomb the heck out of those Palestinians over there in Gaza. It's just weird to me. I mean, the day after the ceasefire was announced, 77 more people were killed.
And it's worse than that because the ceasefire was supposed to go into effect upon signing the agreement, although the agreement itself was not to go into effect until, what was it, Sunday?
Mm-hmm.
So they were supposed to have stopped shooting.
Well, they didn't.
Yeah. And
they're dropping them American bombs.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many times it has to be said that Netanyahu is a maniac, an out of control maniac,
a war criminal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can seem to say that, and it's not me; it's everybody that takes a hard look at him. the guy is a maniac. He's a Zionist nutcase.
Yep.
And, but as long as he's our Zionist nutcase, it seems to be okay.
Well put. Well put. Good morning, David.
Hey, David's here, our friend. David, what are your plans for the last 3 days of democracy? I'd like to see what you got on lined up.
That would be good to get some ideas from the people out there. What are a good way to spend the last 3 days of democracy?
Good morning, Brightmore Dinosaur. Oligarchs Gates and Rockefeller Foundations ran Event 201 and the coordinated response to COVID. Is it fair to call them oligarchs? I mean, they're foundations. Come on, they're tax-free. We support them by not taxing them, and they've had all these really nice words in their texts, and they sound like really, really good people, don't they?
They are oligarchs, and I'll tell you why. Because when through wealth and money, you are a person who influences national policy without having been elected to office, that puts you into the category of oligarch.
Well said.
Thank you.
David has a word in here for good old Jeffrey Sachs. Marcia, I don't know if you know much about Jeffrey Sachs.
Not a lot, no.
We talk about him sometimes
Yes.
with our good friend David Cranmer Underdown, and okay, he is a hammer and he gets the job done. Very good. Yeah. Well, it sounds like Tom DeLay. Remember Tom DeLay? He was the hammer.
I'll tell you something about Tom DeLay. I had a boss. Remember my boss, George, the older guy?
Oh yeah, good old George. He was great.
He was a very sweet guy, but very, very politically active when he lived in his home state of South Dakota, and worked for Tom DeLay.
Tom DeLay and Heinrich Himmler, I think, had similar backgrounds in chicken farming, pesticides, a lot of things in common.
I see.
Maybe they were pen pals. Who knows?
All info has info, meta info. Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be the word of the 21st century for me, is metadata. When I first saw that, I had no clue what the heck does that mean, and I don't want to know, because it sounds like one of those digital words that implies that now I've got to learn more about digital rewiring of my brain, which I don't want to do. But metadata, I first encountered it on photographs, where the idea was when they give you the option to imprint the time and the date and the place or whatever on the photograph itself, that is the metadata.
Right.
And so I said, okay, I understand this metadata now. But now it's much broader than that. It's kind of like reading the tea leaves of communication, or picking out certain key words that jump out at you because you have a certain background. Very, very interesting word, metadata.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that George Webb has a great expertise in.
He does. I remember him talking about that.
And he uses that, to help people understand the danger of bad people having our data for AI. When I first heard him explain it, it just made so much sense to me that, and this comes from Peter Duke too, as Peter Duke's phrase was scraping the scrapers. And the scraping is when somebody illegally scrapes all the data from a program.
Okay.
Like you get all the medical records from an insurance company,
Uh-huh.
and then you've got it and you offer it on the black market, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
See,
yeah.
but then the really smart guys that work for the AI company will come in, and because they've seen it all happen, so they like go and scrape it from the guy that stole it from the original owner of the
Mm-hmm.
data,
Mm-hmm.
and they can't be prosecuted for it
Mm-hmm.
because the person they took it from doesn't have title. And for some reason, I guess the original owner doesn't step up and say, hey, that's my data, because why? They're scared to let the public know that their data got broken into.
Wow.
It's a perfect
Yes,
mafia style
exactly.
extortion scheme.
Exactly. Wow.
Yeah, and George uncovered all that.
Yep.
He's been really on. I don't want to say that, but he's been hot.
Yes.
Yeah, what a tragedy.
Yeah, yeah. And by the way, you used the word tea leaves.
Yeah.
And maybe that reminds me that, as a public service announcement, we might mention to folks, don't put your tea leaves down the disposal.
Oh, okay. Just
Tea
leave it there.
leaves don't go
Just
down the
leave it there.
garbage
Leave it there.
disposal.
Don't even do it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Not tea leaves in Ixnay in the disposal day.
Got it.
All right. We learn things as we make progress.
It just goes to show you're never too old to learn.
And and to step back and just think, well, isn't that interesting? There I was, a perfectly rational human being, for some odd reason, putting my tea leaves in the disposal without even thinking of what it might do eventually. Oh,
It
well.
happens to the best of us. I thought you weren't going to talk about it.
Well, you brought, all right, we're both guilty. Back to our good friends over at the chat room. And
Yeah.
where shall we pick up, Marcia? Oh, I was going to let you run the chat this week, but
We forgot all about
we didn't
that,
set
didn't
it up.
we?
Marcia,
right.
Marcia, I think we're going to have to just go with John's method this time.
That's fine. We can't switch in the middle.
And Corky Goss, our friend, ceasefire, commence water. Commence watering. That's what I was thinking. Now bring the Navy ships with the big guns and make water balloons for the cannons, and just.
I see.
Yeah, you could shoot those water balloons probably 60 miles, and a 16-inch gun with them. Man, water balloons.
Water balloons. There you go.
Well, I guess that was about as fanciful an idea as anything else that came up. The fellow with the water hose that saved his own house, a man, a 70-something-year-old man, in the middle of the fire, said, I'm not insured. I can't I can't possibly secure another place. This is where I have to make my stand. And so he used his water hose to put out the fire on his house.
And how lucky for him that the water hose worked, because there were others who tried to do it and there was no water that would come out of the water.
Because he had a swimming pool.
Right.
So he could get the water out of the swimming pool.
And that's what I was going to say. So many were able to get water out of their swimming pools, but
as George Webb points out, the fire department could have done that.
Right.
Where were they? And George's Substack this morning well, I think he calls it George Webb's Orange Journal, shows that the perimeter of the fire was maintained by the firemen, but that they didn't go into the fire and fight the fire because it was kind of a controlled burn.
Right.
And and then I saw yesterday, I saw somebody talking about this fire like these natural events will happen. It almost made my blood boil.
Well, it's not a natural event.
Of course it's not. I mean, the arson, the it can't be.
Well, even if you could make the case that it started naturally, it's not a natural event because the habitat that burned is not a natural habitat. It's a man made habitat of homes and plastic and man made materials and all of those things. So it didn't behave like a natural fire.
And Elon
Nothing
Starship did
natural
not
about it.
behave yesterday.
It did not.
And that was interesting. You know,
It was.
we watched it on Elon's X channel, and you know the rocket, when it's so impressive, it's a huge rocket, and it takes off, and you know, and it just kind of like business as usual. Okay, here goes the rocket. You know, it wasn't like
And
a
the
big drum
video.
roll or anything.
The video was just amazing because the video was from the rocket. So
Yeah.
you could see the earth as it was
Yeah.
going up, and you're seeing the coastline and the swamps, and it was just amazing video.
And then they did the big booster recapture, which I'd seen one before, but that's the second time that they pulled it off, and that I think is the real takeaway from this test. It was a test flight, but obviously the ship itself didn't survive and created a beautiful fireworks show for everybody down in the Caribbean.
That was remarkable. Yeah.
So it's interesting to think that, you know, obviously they wanted to have a success right at the beginning of Trump's term, and so I don't see much reporting on the destruction of the capsule. Maybe in the Washington Post.
No,
no,
that's the amazing thing. I actually went to the Post immediately after the event happened. Nothing. I thought, okay, well, they're fact checking, they're rewriting, they're deciding, going through ethics. What are they going to say given the competition between the Blue Origin and SpaceX? Excuse me. But I thought this morning there would be a meaty story. No, nothing. Weird.
It wasn't on X either.
Wow.
I mean, you know, no explanation.
Yeah.
But I'm sure we'll get one. But it's like they don't want to talk about it until after the election.
Yeah.
I mean, after the inauguration.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, you said it, but I heard inauguration. But yeah, that was very weird. And in fact, I wondered, that video that you had of the pieces, you know, lighting up the sky as it re-entered the atmosphere, where was that from? That certainly wasn't from Musk.
Oh, who shot it?
Yeah, do you know who it was
No,
that
I don't know.
that had put it
No.
up?
No, you know, people, you know, with video cameras who just
Yeah.
put things up on social media now. And
Right.
I don't, you know, I do it. I don't care. You know, I'm not claiming a copyright, although that was a pretty
No,
cool
but you
video.
have to, you know, it has to show up in your feed.
Yeah. Now, David has wonderful questions that I don't have the background to really address, but let's go through it. Did Facebook rebrand to Meta to distance from Larry Summers? Well, I don't know, because I don't know the relation between Larry Summers, the past president of Harvard, that's a economic advisor guy, a real deep state guy. With him, did he have a relationship with Zuckerberg? These are details that David masters, but I don't.
I don't know either.
And so I thought Summers was more effective, but now Sachs has pushed Bibi to peace, so I don't know. Jeffrey Sachs pushed Netanyahu to peace. Well, wait a minute. I thought we just said Netanyahu was an out of control, crazy man. So maybe Sachs has some info on Bibi that can twist his arm. Anyway, David, we got to have you back on the show to explain this to me, because
I look forward to that.
It's beyond my ability to make a sensible comment. Right, Brightmore, you're right, and I think we've covered that. The Prisoner Dilemma case study for Georgetown Law School. Again, I've heard of the Prisoner Dilemma. I probably knew what it was, some decades ago. But once again, David, I want to jump down to that rabbit hole, but I don't know really how to get to it.
The Prisoner Dilemma is a game theory thought experiment that describes a situation where two people have competing incentives that lead them to choose a suboptimal outcome.
Oh.
Well, that's what the AI here on the search engine tells me.
Okay. And the Prisoner Dilemma, how does that apply to Netanyahu getting his arm twisted? Anyway, it's a brilliant thought, I'm sure. Let's keep going. Maybe David will tell us some more.
Yeah.
David, tell us some more about this Prisoner Dilemma from Georgetown Law School. I went to Georgetown Law School. I don't mention it very often because I don't practice law anymore, but it was a very interesting experience, and I certainly am happy to have done it.
I remember when you showed me the building there over by Union Station.
Yeah.
Which I never knew that the law school wasn't on the campus in Georgetown.
Well, yeah, they put it over by the Capitol because they wanted to attract, people in the politics and to go to the school. And when I went to the school, I went in the evening division, so I knew a lot of those people, people that were congressional staffers and et cetera, that wanted to add a law degree to their professional repertoire, and so I was there just learning how to be a lawyer. But I had some great teachers, and well, I'll tell you more about that another time. It's a long time ago, and 44 years ago I graduated from.
There's a scary thought.
Georgetown Law School.
There's no way you and I are old enough for either one of us to have been in college 40 some years ago.
Yeah,
and you grad school. Wow. What was it? Something that happened recently, and I thought, well, that was about 20 years ago, and then I realized, it was in the 1980s. Oops.
And Brightmore says the repercussions, implications of the recent hack of Social Security numbers, et cetera, has been vastly underreported and minimized. Yeah. But, one of the things, again, I mentioned George's reporting because it's so insightful that why do you want to get all the medical records of all these people from the hospital? It's not just to have information on them, to dox them, to say, okay, this guy's got this problem or whatever, or to target them. It's not only to that, it's to learn the medicine, because you get all the medical reports and then you put together 100,000 people that have this certain complaint, and you got all the reports of all the doctors and experts that said, here's what you need to do. And so then the person can now just go onto AI and say, hey, I got this complaint. What should I do? And the AI knows what to do because it's read everybody's reports on this particular subject from the entire database that they've created by their scraping of everybody's data.
So the goal here then is to create smarter AI.
That's right. It's
Whoa.
It's like feeding.
Yeah.
It's like the AI, wants, like Pac-Man wants to eat some more data,
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because
the more data you can get into your AI, the smarter your AI becomes.
Yeah.
And then, can control more things.
And you want to get the data before the other guy gets the data to do it on his AI. But it also, to me, what it really says is that AI is just BS. That they're not making smarter computers. They're just collating a bunch of data together and spitting it out. They're not making human thinking machines, and there's whatever they're doing, they're still in the growing phase of it, because obviously they haven't got the data that they want. Maybe, if we get central bank digital currency, if we keep centralizing everything, then they will get to that point, and but it's good that they're not there yet. And maybe that means that democracy is not dead yet.
Oh dear, I don't know. You are such an optimist.
Yeah, I've been optimistic this week.
Yeah, you have been.
TikTok ban. I'm not a TikTok person, so
Well, the Supreme Court issued their ruling this morning that it's a double negative. They refuse to block the law banning TikTok. So it will go into effect on Sunday.
okay. So that's a triple negative then.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember as I was reading about it and I'm thinking, wait, they refuse to block. So okay, they're going to allow it to be. So, yeah.
But what they're allowing it to do is to block.
Right. They refuse to block the block.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So the block is good, but blocking the block is not good. Right. So, Trump will take that on once he's in office.
Corky says it half worked. Yes. Safety first. Yeah, I'm, really, I think things like Blue Origin and Elon's rocketry,
SpaceX, yeah.
these are obviously children of DARPA, children of our military industrial complex that is incentivized to create military style stuff and building these amazing technologies that allow them to land a booster backwards. That is a product of secret research that has gone on for a long, long time in places like the Rand Corporation and other places that have been, and universities where they get students to do the work basically for free if they're given a stipend, right?
Yeah.
So the whole project has been done by us collectively in America, but that part of it is not allowed to be seen because it's all, like the magicians, the DARPA magicians have come up with this. Or, if you want to accept the narrative, okay, Elon is a genius. He came up with this. But in either case, it wasn't the collective work of millions of people in America and around the world, that they wouldn't want to let you know that. So that's all been done ultimately at our expense. And we should have a voice in how it's used, but they don't want us to do that. And then the other aspect of it is it's like so many things, you just see a competition going on, like Russia versus Ukraine. Well, Elon versus
Jeff.
Yeah, Jeff Bezos. And Bezos looks like he got beat. But it's like a king or an emperor saying, all right, I'm going to let you two guys fight it out. And whoever wins, whoever makes the best rocket to get me, to go to Mars, you're going to be my man. And from that point on out, you're going to run the whole shebang. And there'll be no competition because I got means to suppress it.
Well, remember, our nephew used to work for Blue Origin. And, when he lived in Seattle and, now works for JPL in Pasadena, where he lives, where his house burned down. But, yeah, and I remember when he worked there, when he was in Seattle working for Blue Origin, how he would talk about the atmosphere at Blue Origin he didn't like the atmosphere there. He said it was almost felt like a cult. But at the same time, he had no interest. Well, you know what? I think he did interview with SpaceX, but I don't remember what happened. Something weird took place. It's like he was set up to interview, but then prior to the interview, they've shared with him some expectations of hoops he needed to jump through before the interview, and he said, "I'm not jumping through those hoops." And I'm not articulating it very well, but yeah, just the cult-like atmosphere in those organizations. And that was one of the things that I think was bothering us yesterday when we were watching. And that woman who was doing the narrating, I mean,
Yeah.
her there was something about her enthusiasm and excitement that
Well,
it did have a cult-like feeling.
She had very little to say. And, you know, she should have had some backup text or, you know, prepared remarks in case things didn't go as fast as they wanted them to. But she didn't have anything in her head except for to just keep saying, and look at that beautiful booster coming down. And isn't that amazing? And it was, we
Right.
are
She was just gushing about how
excited.
remarkable it
We're all
was.
so psyched here. We're all
Yeah.
excited. But
Yeah,
how many
yeah.
times can you stand there and say we're all excited and we're all psyched when there's really nothing happening? And, you know, I think, you know, it's,
And when they lost communication with the vehicle, they were very slow to say that they had lost communication.
yeah. In other words,
Anyway.
what we're saying is it seems like a kind of a very closed environment.
Yep.
But, you know, mentioning our nephew, you know, that their house was burned in the Altadena fire,
The Eaton fire.
the Eaton fire that,
Yeah.
you know, just razed everything to the ground. And so they are, you know, they're homeless right now,
Mm-hmm.
along with many, many others.
Along with many, many others. Yeah.
And let's see. It happens as California used to burn for months before it was so highly inhabited.
Exactly.
Interesting. The native Indians told stories about it staying ablaze because of the winds. Yeah, I guess if nobody clears the brush out from underneath. But
again, I think we talked about it briefly last week, so maybe we, you know, don't want to stay here too long, but nature does this on purpose. Nature does this to get rid of some of the vegetation so it can regenerate.
yeah.
So, yeah.
And yeah.
You know, I see that David has explained his prisoner dilemma in terms of the AI scraping and blackmail you described.
Let's do this one from Brightmoor first, and then we'll catch up with David. How long before some of the older satellites' balloons deflate and fall to Earth? Well, who knows? But that was quite a fireworks show.
Yeah.
Amazing show. If you haven't seen it, just look for some video of the disintegration of that.
It was over the Dominican Republic. That's where that video came from that we were watching. It really was remarkable.
All right. Now let's get down to David. Sachs' video was critical of BB.
No, I think you need to go a little further.
I got it. And I mean prisoner dilemma in terms of the AI scraping and blackmail. Oh, okay. So, and the worst outcome is that you lose your data, but you don't get it any retribution or justice or anything. You don't get any compensation for losing your data, and you now become a liar because you're telling the people at your institution that everything's fine until a whistleblower comes along, and then the whistleblower blows the whistle, and then the next thing you know, the whistleblower's dead.
I'd call that a suboptimal outcome, yeah.
All right, thanks, Dave. AI will advise oxycodone. Oh boy. Yeah. Data is sold to third parties. GM in the news for FTC order to stop selling drivers' data to third parties. There you go. I mean, that's another
Yeah,
example. I mean, that
yeah,
probably is ultimately going to be data that's used in the AI programs.
yeah.
Because AI hasn't just sat down and figured out the history of the world, and and learned all of the uh, historical facts and figures, and somehow absorbed the facts of the Second World War all of a sudden by itself. No, it's scraping books and things from Kindle and you know putting it together, and then but it does have an amazing ability to make logical sentences and paragraphs out of what it says. It talks like a professor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I can't stand the AI narratives that I come across on social media. It's they've got to learn to talk better.
TikTok is evil.
Yeah.
State Farm canceled its Super Bowl ad. Oh.
Huh.
State Farm doesn't usually do things like that. They're really about public relations. They're one of the most publicly friendly insurance companies out there. So I'm surprised to see that.
And you would think that an insurance company would want to use it as a public relations opportunity to say, look, we were there, but I guess they can't because they weren't. Maybe that's the whole issue is they realize how badly they are performing and don't intend to get any better.
X-Ray Girl comes back and says, I love TikTok. Okay. I haven't really checked it out. It's not that I don't want to see it. It's like Messenger is another one. I just have too much to manage already.
Right.
I don't want to have to manage another account on another program.
Well, and again, it's that seductiveness because you get started and then you get pulled in. And then the next thing you know, a couple of hours have gone by and you've done nothing but stand there going,
Yeah, but you can do that on Facebook.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But imagine you do it on Facebook and then you do it on X and then you do it on Instagram and then you do it on TikTok. Next thing you know, you're, old.
USA is no longer, says it happens. USA is no longer. That gets back to our theme for the show of the last 3 days of democracy.
That's right.
And how ridiculous it is of the Democrats to have said that it's the last 3 days of democracy when we haven't had democracy in a long time. Not to get into this hair splitting between a democratic republic and a pure plebiscite democracy, which is where a lot of these conversations end up going, because the Constitution did not set up a democracy. It set up a representative democracy, which we call a republic. And as long as we have the public institutions on behalf of the people and follow the Constitution, then we should have small d democracy as the product, as the result, because none of us wants to be so well
The
informed.
Constitution. Sorry.
Yeah, none of us wants to be so well informed on politics that we could be the representative ourselves. We want to be able to hire through our vote somebody that will represent us, and then when we have questions, that will answer our questions. But we can't be 24/7 studying foreign affairs as well as all the domestic issues. So we need to have a representative democracy. And that's what we talk about generally when we say democracy. We don't mean to say a pure plebiscite. But that gets into another one of the concerns that exists among like the folks that would say they're MAGA people. And that is that if like we get rid of the electoral college, for instance, that we're going to turn the country into a pure democracy. And that is a bad thing. As everybody that wrote about democracy throughout the ages has said, a pure democracy is a bad idea because the people are going to be swayed this way and that way, depending upon what the elites want. And without that intermediate step of a representative government, democracy is going to turn into a dictatorship very fast.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I think, yes, exactly.
But no, I think the U.S. still exists. The way I put it is kind of like we still got the foundation, and we've still got the framing and the roof and the basic essentials of our house, in the sense that we have a constitution and we have the institutions that are supposed to honor the Constitution, and we have the ability to operate under the Constitution if we ever decide to go back to it.
Yeah.
But to me, where I draw the line is the assassination of President Kennedy.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where the spirit of democracy, the spirit of the Constitution, has been quashed and suppressed in favor of these usurpers that come in. And these, of course, are the oligarchs that Joe Biden suddenly discovered on his last day in office.
Right.
But they've been sitting in all the power structures ever since World War
Please,
II.
they've been whispering in his ear for years, ever since he was in the Senate.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the senator from DuPont, right?
Right. There you go.
YouTube recommends right-leaning and Christian videos, even to use. Okay. All right. You know what I use YouTube for? I love to watch the historical series, like I just watched the entire series of Napoleon, all from start to finish. There's like 18 videos going through every battle and every.
Wow.
I
Wow.
enjoy that stuff, and it helps me organize my thoughts about history generally. And a lot of them are really well produced.
I use YouTube for how-tos.
Uh-huh.
Like the time that the battery died in my car key. And so, you can take it to the dealership and they're going to charge you about $100 to change the battery. Or you can go to YouTube and say, how do I change the battery in my car key for my Toyota RAV4? And it will show you step by step, and it's real easy. That's what I use YouTube for. D Hall 221.
Good morning, D Hall. Increasing number of stories about avian flu. Yeah, that's in the MSM. I don't see it. Do you see it?
No, I was thinking I was reading something recently. Oh, I know what it was. It was a Facebook post in one of the local, not our little community here, but our bigger community Facebook page. They were a bunch of people talking about how avian flu and every other viral disease is everywhere. And then they each had to talk about how they and their families have all been sick with this and that and the other. I was tempted to add my comment saying, thank goodness I don't interact with you people, but that would have been rude.
A reassortment event. Who knows? It sounds like a black swan to me.
A reassortment event. It's really an amazing word or phrase, reassortment event. It's so full of potential, all kinds of possibilities. As a writer, I really admire that kind of creative thinking. But what the heck are they talking about?
Yeah, what does it mean? I mean, it's we've already been assorted, I'm sure. So we need to be reassorted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe it's the election. Maybe it's the watershed of now we're organized in a different way because President Trump is now going to take us in a different direction. Hopefully in the direction that the American people voted for.
We'll see.
All right. Prester John, check out the debate between Jeffrey Sachs and Donald Harris, Kamala's dad. Oh no.
Oh, how interesting.
Okay, no. A reassortment means two different viruses at the same time. Yeah.
Oh, there's more. This is quite a bit of information that Brightmoor is giving us.
Each virus infects the same cell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that really gets us into Adam Finnegan's territory, where you have multiple diseases coming into you at the same time, and the effect of it is immune tolerance. You lose your ability to fight any of these viruses, the ones that you just got, plus the ones that you've had in you for your whole life that you probably didn't even know about.
It's kind of like when life gets very, very chaotic and you got different events coming at you all at the same time. You go, ah, and you just curl up under the covers and hide. Our immune systems do the same thing. They have all these viruses coming at them at the same time. And so they just go, ah, and curl up under the covers and hide. That's what immune tolerance is.
Harry Huncannon's back. Hey, Harry. Love is life friendly. To love is a full-time job. The salary is heavenly. Isn't that nice?
It's poetic.
Yeah. And yeah. Thank you for bringing up the most important thing that we have to talk about ever. I mean, to do is to love,
Mm-hmm.
That's the difference between us and them, is they are all about acquisition and ruling the world and, keeping their people, isolated and elite from the rest of the dirty masses, and we are all about just love. It's like,
we are, but you know what? They are not. And then they convince us that others are not either, so that we will fear the other instead of fearing them.
right. And that's, that's the whole problem in the world today, is that we fight each other instead of fighting them.
Right.
We've got to stop with what Sean Ross and his great channel Jure says. He says that this is the horizontal, stop the horizontal wars.
Right.
And fight the vertical war.
Love is life friendly. And our lives depend on loving each other.
And here is Allison saying State Farm had major issues in Florida as well.
That makes sense after the hurricanes.
Yeah. Oh, Florida's what a crazy situation that is, with all the Russian investments and everything over the years. What a crazy situation. So much drug money and, everything it seems like a house of cards, but that just survives on its reputation of being this beautiful, sunshine state. But God, the depth of criminal activity in Florida is, it's just unbelievable that it doesn't, it's almost a narco state. Thanks to the CIA. And all of that cocaine coming across the Gulf of America.
Took me a second. Gulf of America.
Brightmoor is, on the same thought of creating a new virus, so that you bring the two viruses together and you create another one.
They have little baby viruses.
Yeah, with different chromosomes. Blue-eyed viruses and brown-eyed viruses.
Right.
A meritocracy. I was thinking about meritocracy when I was reading from Colonel Fletcher Prouty about a week ago, and he described an exercise early in his career, in which it was a training exercise, and he was there with a bunch of other trainees in the military. And the instructor said, "Well, we're going to build a bridge across this stream that's strong enough for a tank to drive over, and you won't be done until you do it." And he described the process of the men who have no sense of chain of command. They have no instruction manual. They have nothing. They've just got to build this bridge, and this nice big sturdy one for the tank to get over, or else they're screwed. And he described the process of how one person or another will step forward and say, "Well, here's what we need to do," and get the process going. And then after a while, it turns out that the leadership that leads is the leadership that they need, because the leaders that these people recognize that they had the skills to put together, a trestle or build something, that how much weight that something can bear. That these are the guys that knew a little bit about how to build a bridge, and they thought, I'll step up. And so everybody else followed them, and they got the bridge built, and the tank drove over it, and they all got dinner that night. Well, that's what Harry is talking about, is a meritocracy, because, and you don't have to be the greatest at everything. You could just that guy knows how to build bridges. Let's let him do it. This person knows how to organize a militia for self-defense. Well, let's let him be the captain then. And that meritocracy, that was part of the American Revolution, big time. The guys could choose their own captains and officers, and create a company by themselves, and attach it to the state or the Continental Army.
It's a nice way of looking at things. It's actually something that comes up in leadership training. Some, but probably not enough.
Well, yeah, because it rubs up against the liberal argument for what is it called? DIR, EID, something.
DEI?
DEI,
diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Right.
Yeah.
So that to promote somebody because we don't have enough of this.
No, that's not what DEI is. DEI's gotten a little confused with what's the other one? The
affirmative action.
Affirmative action, yeah.
Okay.
Little different.
All right. And let's see, Prester, I'm not sure what you're referring to there, but thank you for your...
I was looking at David's comment, which is next.
All right, let's get down to something serious here. How in the world do you think that we would root for the Detroit Lions, David? Just because you root for the Detroit Lions, just because you come from Detroit, just because you are a huge Detroit sports fan of all possible Detroit sports teams, doesn't mean that everybody is a Detroit Lions fan. But it's a nice thing to think about. Yeah. Now, I do have somebody here in the room that is a Washington Commanders fan. Would you admit it?
I've become one. I wasn't always one because I wasn't born and raised in this area like you were, but I have taken on some fanship of the local team simply because they're the local team. So it makes the whole thing more fun. I mean, I will admit, I was born in Texas, and my father was a Dallas Cowboys fan, and diehard Dallas Cowboys fan his entire life, no matter where we ended up living. So, but I have come to enjoy watching the Commanders, and I will be cheering for the Commanders on Saturday night, David. Sorry, I know you'll be cheering for Detroit, and it should be a good game. And I haven't given any thought to removing RFK name from the stadium, or Redskin name was better for social justice. It's been tough around here to try. You don't get, it's so hard to call them the Commanders.
Are they going to take the name away from RFK Stadium?
Who knows what they're going to do with RFK Stadium, but that was all part of the budget deal. Was control of RFK Stadium is going back to the District of Columbia.
Hmm.
The whole budget deal what was it, a month ago? I don't remember how long ago it was when, we came down to the wire on closing the government because the funding was running out. But anyway, yeah. And the Redskin, people around here still call them the Redskins.
Yeah. Why not? Well, I saw the Rolling Stones at RFK Stadium.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, gosh. I didn't see the Rolling Stones until very, very late, the first time I ever saw them. But what was it? I went to a country concert at RFK, but it was one of those big lineups, and George Strait was the headliner. But I didn't stay long enough to see him.
I'm just going to click through our last few because we're running out of time.
Yeah, I'm stunned at the time. It seems like we just got started.
Joe Biden and Messiah DJ Trump take orders from a higher authority. I think you're absolutely right. YouTube is creating a lot of AI-produced videos. I see a lot of them. Sometimes the history ones really trouble me because it's got this, AI voice, and I just.
Oh my God, I hate the lab. I keep saying it. I hate the AI voice. It's so unnatural. They got a lot of work to do on that.
MAGA is the Tea Party 2.0 with a new lineup of wealthy donors. That's not what the MAGA people think.
No.
Yeah. And is that what's really going on? Is the MAGA people are just, being herded, and behind this particular pile of elite mega bucks to support, the elite agenda?
It's easier to make the case because Donald Trump and Elon Musk have been so open about their relationship, whereas Joe Biden and the oligarchs who are controlling him, including some who aren't Americans, they're more secretive. So it's easier to make this case. But, Prester John mentions Open Secrets, great website for finding out who is donating to who and who is giving money to who, because you'll find out by going to Open Secrets that it is an open secret that everybody's getting money.
Well, I might make it through all of them here if I don't stop to comment.
Well,
all right. Thank you very much, Allison V, on the virus question.
Go to David's last comment there on the very, very end. Hail to the Redskins.
Hey, Redskins, Hail to the Redskins is superior to the Lions TD song.
And which I don't know. So I will look forward to hearing it maybe Saturday night.
He used to laugh at the Hogs during the Doug Williams era. Yeah. Well, to me, it's the John Riggins era. The Joe Theismann, Sonny Jurgensen era was my Redskin era back in the 70s and early 80s. And I was a diehard fan. I mean, I knew all the players. Darryl Green, remember that really fast receiver that really a charismatic guy. And but Sonny Jurgensen didn't have any legs, so he couldn't get out of the pocket. He got sacked so many times. And then Theismann came along, and he was great until Lawrence Taylor whacked him, with
And then he didn't have legs either.
No, he didn't. And then, then they brought Billy Kilmer, but Doug Williams was good. And, because he could move. But, then by that time I was so immersed in law school and everything that I couldn't watch. So,
You know what?
yeah.
I don't even know. We haven't watched enough games to know. I don't know if they have the band and if they play the song.
I don't think they play it anymore. I think that was one of the losses that we suffered when they changed the name. Hail to the Redskins, hail victory, braves on the warpath, fight for old DC. Do 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 do.
Oh, and there's words to that too.
Yeah.
Oh my.
And we go, ooh. Yeah, we're not making fun of anybody. We're just having fun.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. The Redskins band did a badass go-go tribute in the parking lot, posted on. You have to see that.
We should find that. Yeah.
I did know briefly Chuck Taylor, the grand godfather of go-go.
The go-go man.
Yeah. And well, that's a long time ago. He's passed on now, but a great musician.
Not that long ago.
A great musician, and not just a drummer either. The guy played piano, excellent singer, and his work with Eva Cassidy is really beautiful. Well, I think that's all we got time for today, Marcia. Thanks again for.
Well, thank you. As always, it went flying by.
All right. Thanks everyone for your kind comments.
Have a great weekend. Enjoy the playoffs.
All right, and enjoy your democracy while you have it.
That's right.